What is going on, YouTube? Welcome back to the channel. Thank you guys for all of your support. Somebody out here is going to need to hear this message today, and that is the world needs men of God more than ever. If you are feeling like you are lost, if you don't have a purpose, if you're trying to figure out what that is, if you feel like you're being tossed to and fro like the waves of the sea, if you are stuck, this video is going to help you out today. And I'm making this video for you, the one person. I don't care if 1,000, if 10,000, if 100 million people see this. I don't care if it just helps one person. So guys, what does it mean when the world needs men of God? What does that mean for you? What does that mean for any of us, right? I'm just a guy. I'm just a man like you, right? What I've come to understand is nothing in this world makes sense unless you have God on your side. There are so many different things going on in the world that are telling men what to do and who to be. We get so caught up in the politics. We get so caught up in, well, it's this person's fault, it's women's fault, it's my parents, it's my situations, it's my circumstance. All of these things pile up. We're told, by this guy, by this person, and there's so much noise, there's so much chaos, there's so much confusion, and we don't know where to go. We think that if we just get more muscle, more money, more prestige, more power, we'll be better, right? Or maybe we go the route of, it just doesn't matter. I don't want to play a part in any of this. I'm just going to fall to my vices, right? And everybody has their own vices. Everybody knows the things they indulge in that are unhealthy, that are keeping them from walking in the way that God has for them. Guys, every single time we are tempted, we need to call on the name of the Lord. So many men out there are struggling today with these vices, right? Even the motivated men, even the ones who are dialed in, they still have temptations, they still fall. And sometimes as men, it can seem like we are lost, like it's hopeless, like there's no way out, right? Maybe you get really sad and you despair because, it doesn't seem like there's any good women out there, so I'm just going to turn to porn, or like, I just don't feel good, so I'm just going to drink or smoke, or, I'm not really good at anything, so I'm just going to play video games and I'm going to waste it all away and I'm going to distract myself. I'm going to achieve something. I'm going to feel like a part of something. And it's not wrong to have a drink, right? It's not wrong to play video games. I'm not telling you that. What I'm saying is, as men, we have become distracted in so many ways. And if you're watching this today, I want you to know that there is a way out, guys. And it's what I just mentioned. It's calling on the name of the Lord every single time you are tempted. So many times in my life, I can look back and I can think to the times that I try to do things of my own strength and they fail and they fall every single time. I fall when I focus on my own strength, on my own willpower. And it might work for a time, right? But then I fall. And oftentimes as men, we try to wear these things as like a badge of armor. Look at what I did. Look at what I willed myself through. We hear these stories and we're like, wow, that guy willed himself out of this or that. But what's it all for? Guys, what is it all for at the end of the day? We might be able to cut all these things off, but what is it for? Right? The world needs men of God more than ever. More than ever, guys. I'm telling you, more than ever, we need men who are going to stand up, who are going to look fear, who are going to look the lies, who are going to look the falsehood, the deception in the face and go, no, and call it out. Who are going to walk in righteousness. Guys, righteousness, we hear these words and we think, oh, well, maybe we just want to be high and mighty, or maybe it's all a show. It's not. It's walking in the Lord, guys. I'm telling you, when you focus on these things, everything else makes sense. Guys, God is calling you to be a man of God. If you're watching this video today, the world needs men of God. It's not about getting better with women. It's not about being the most fit you can be. It's not, guys, all that stuff is pointless if you don't have a purpose in God. And so many men are stuck because we're like, what is our purpose? What are we called to do? And guys, I'm telling you, that purpose is, we are called to the battlefield every single day. God has called us to spiritual warfare. He's called us to the battlefield to face whatever battle is in front of us. And for every guy, it's going to look slightly different because God has you in a different position in your life. All the men watching this video today, every person watching this video today has a different role that God has put him in, different circumstance in life, different people, a different field to tend to, right? Bible talks about this a lot, tending to your field, right? Tending to the situation, the arena that God has put you in. And oftentimes as men, we shy away from this and we think, I can't do it. Well, yeah, you can't really do it, but with God, you can. We look at these men like David. We think of these figures, we tell stories and we, read the Bible and we go, wow, that's really cool. David was such an amazing guy, a man after God's own heart. He went through all these things, he was courageous. But the common theme through all of that was his faith in God. Guys, he didn't just fight these bears and lions because he was really cool and really strong. No, he had faith, he had courage from God. He put his faith in God. He knew that with God, he could overcome any obstacle. And I don't think it's a coincidence that we're told that the devil walks about like a roaring lion, seeking whom he may devour. And we think of a lion, we go, whoa, that's terrifying, right? There's not much I can do against a lion, but with God, you can overcome. And if you're watching today, guys, there's probably something in your life that you're struggling with when it comes to temptation, right? We think of temptation and we think, maybe sometimes I'll beat it, maybe sometimes I won't. I don't really know what I'm gonna do. Maybe I should just work out more. Maybe I should just focus on my goals more. Maybe I should just, socialize more. We focus on all the wrong things. When in reality, oftentimes God is just calling us to rest in him, to call on his name. When you call on his name, he will deliver. Guys, he will deliver you. He will make your path straight. He will give you peace no matter your circumstance. That moment you are tempted is the moment that you do not wrestle it, you do not muscle it, you do not try to fight it. You submit to God. That's how you resist the devil. We hear that verse, we might think of that verse and we go, okay, we forget about the first part. Submit to God, right? Okay, submit to God. What does that mean? God tells us to call on him, to knock, to seek. Everybody who calls on the name of the Lord will be saved. I'm telling you guys, I've seen it in my life. I have my struggles, and every time I try to focus on what I can do or how I can escape or how I can muscle my way out of it, it fails every time. Or maybe it works in the short term, but then I still got that temptation. I'm still feeding that temptation. I'm still flirting with it. I'm still trying to fight it. I'm trying to dance around it. Only the Lord can take that temptation away. Only the Lord, guys, I'm telling you, when you call on his name, he will take it away. He does take it away. It seems incredible. Next time, guys, you are tempted, when you have a thought that you are tempted to, right? To look at porn, to just take another drink, just smoke a little bit more, man. Just every time you're tempted to these things you know you shouldn't be doing, call on his name, see what happens. Submit to God, see what happens. Guys, he'll take that desire away. We focus so much on trying not to do something. The human brain is not wired to not do something. When we focus on not doing something, we just want it more. It's that sin nature in us. It's our flesh. It's like, well, yeah, your mind's telling you this, but your body's weak, guys. Your flesh is weak. That's why you keep failing and falling. When we trust in God, we put him first, he takes away that desire. When we're focusing on God, he takes away that desire. And sometimes we get so hyper focused on certain things like, oh, I got to read my Bible, I got to pray. These things are important. Absolutely. We should be in the word so that it renews our mind, so that we have these things on our heart and our mind. We should pray. Absolutely. But how are we praying? What are we praying about? Are we praying just to get things? Are we praying because it's a ritualistic thing we do at this certain time of day because we think if we do this, we're going to be holier? We should pray at all times. We should pray without ceasing for a reason. Every temptation that we have, right? So many men are afraid of the circumstance that they're in. They're afraid, right? We look at the world, maybe it seems bleak. It seems like there's no way out, like there's no hope. And we see all these stories and we see all these different things going on and like, oh, the dating scene is done. I'm never going to find a woman, right? And we get so worried. We need to be focusing on God. A lot of people are taking these things out of context these days when it comes to the Bible. They're not reading everything in its context. They're not looking deeper, right? They read these things like, oh, he who finds a wife finds a good thing. Yeah, absolutely. That doesn't mean you just stop everything you're doing in life to find a woman. That doesn't mean you just stop everything and just, okay, I gotta find a woman. That's the only thing that's gonna make me happy. If I only find her, everything in my life will be better. That's not how it works, guys. God brings men up. He puts men up in their solitude. He strengthens them in their solitude. You're called to battle, to war every single day. A lot of men are stuck. They're like, I don't know what I need to be doing. A lot of men, we want to be respected. We want to be well known. We want to have wealth. We want to have a woman. We want to have these things. And we try to get them the earthly way. Well, it doesn't work. If you're putting your mind to God, you're submitting to Him, it's not going to work because that's not what you're called to. You're called to submit to God. And sometimes that means just resting in God. To be still and know that He is God. To know that He's there no matter what. Sometimes that means you just read your Bible. Sometimes it means you just take a break. You rest, you recover, you rest in His Word, you pray like you've never prayed before. You just talk to God about things in your life that are hitting you hard, that you don't think you can overcome. We think we have to pray these ritualistic prayers. God's like, I don't want to hear these boastful words. I don't want to hear these long drawn out prayers for the sake of sounding good or sounding knowledgeable. Guys, you just need to talk to your Creator. You need to talk to your Savior. You need to talk to the one who saved you. A lot of men out there watching this today are going like, you might be going, what? My church, read the Bible, guys, for yourself. Read the Bible. Man is sinful. Man falls. We are fallible creatures. But Christ is the way. He's the truth and the life. How often do you just pray to Christ? How often do you just talk to Him? How often do you just talk to Him? How often do you pray like, Lord, I don't really know what to say today, but I just really need to talk to you. There's some things I've been really struggling with. I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm struggling, God. I'm tempted. I keep falling. I don't know what's going on. Will you help me? Will you root this out of me? Will you show me the way? You just talk. And we overcomplicate this thing, guys. We really do. And it's really stifling us. It's really hindering us because God has called us to the battle. And in a battle, guys, as men, we tend to overanalyze. We tend to want to think it logically through. And there's a time for that, absolutely. When you're reading the Word, that's when you're strategizing. That's when you're ingesting. That's when you're thinking. That's when you're mulling it over. But for the majority of the day, you're going to be called to war. And that war oftentimes is in the mind. All these thoughts that come from the world around you, the temptations that come into your mind, the shame and the sin you might have gone through and done in the past, it comes to mind. And it's, what do we do in that moment? Do we run to God or do we ruminate? Do we think about it? Do we flirt with it? Do we dance around with the devil a little bit? Do we kind of go, yeah, this temptation, okay, Do we flirt with it a little bit? Or do we instantly run to God and go, Lord, take this from me. Jesus, save me. Jesus, help me right now, please. What do? We're called to that battle. Guys, we all have these grandiose ideas of like being in war and, being in battle. God's called us to that war and battle every single day. Every single day. And it might seem like over and over and over, second by second, minute by minute, you're having these thoughts, these, people call them intrusive thoughts. And guys, oftentimes It's the devil. He's walking around like a roaring lion, seeking whom he may devour. But I promise you, if you run to Christ, if you submit to God, if you pray to God to deliver you, he will. And that desire will be taken away from you. But what are you putting your faith in? Are you putting your faith in yourself? Guys, the world needs men of God more than ever. People need men of God to look up to, because this world's telling you what's right and wrong, and it seems like no one knows what they're talking about. But what happens when men of God stand up in truth and righteousness? What happens? People's lives are changed for the better. People are protected. People are provided for. People have a purpose. They have a reason. They have truth. They have a foundation. They have something, because it doesn't come from them. It comes from God, and he's true. And he knows everything. He knows us all before we were even in our mother's womb. He knew us by name. He knows, but he's also called us to this season. He's called us to this battle. He's called, and we're not just running around with our heads cut off. No, we're called to put on the full armor of God, right? We're called to read the word, to stay in the word. That's how we build our strength. Men shall not live by bread alone, but by every word that comes from God. I know there's someone out there today who's struggling with this big time. They seem like it's just insurmountable, and it seems like they got to do these crazy things, and they got to figure out the secret method, and they got to come up with this elaborate plan. It's not. You're not going to come up with it. It doesn't exist. It only comes from God. It only comes when you submit yourself to God. That's the only time it makes sense. It's the only time it's ever going to deliver you, is when you submit to Christ, guys. Try it for yourself. Don't take my word for it, guys, but try it for yourself. See what happens when you run to God every single time. And you'll find that your paths are straight. You'll find that everything starts to make sense. The politics, nothing in this world is ever going to give you the answer you need. It's not going to be, everyone's looking for someone to save them. Jesus already did. And he can, if you just ask him, right? It's the easy way. It's the only way. It's the only way, guys. I'm telling you, it's the only way. You guys think I'm crazy, but next time you have that thought, that temptation, that lustful thought, that addiction, that shame, that sin that kind of creeps up, that thing that in your flesh that just wants to get you off the path, guys, I'm telling you, call on Christ. That's what the devil wants. He goes after God's strongest warriors. I don't think it's a coincidence. Guys, the devil loves it when you're sinning, because it's keeping you from God's path. Have you ever noticed when you're walking in God's way, everything just makes sense, and it's straight, and you're kind of walking life on easy mode, and everything's just kind of blissful? When you go through that period of life and darkness and sin, when you're relying on yourself, and when you just kind of go, you just give in to sin, and you're like, I'm going to do it my way, everything just goes to complete chaos. And you wonder why there's so many people out there who seem like they're okay with sinning. Guys, because you were called for a different purpose. You were called to the battlefield, God's battlefield. When you're sinning, when you're constantly sinning, when you're constantly doing things your way, you're out of the fight, man. You're weak. But when you submit to Christ, when you submit to God and these things, you're not held captive by sin. You're not ensnared by sin. You're not falling to sin. You're a mighty warrior, and God is going to provide a way for you. But the devil is also going to keep coming after you with stronger and stronger opponents. You're gonna go through some crazy times, guys. You might be attacked in your dreams. You might be attacked from people you thought were amazing in your life. The devil is going to start influencing almost every aspect of your life. He's going to try to knock you off any way that he can, get you to fear, get you to doubt, get you to fall to temptation. He's going to try it all. He's going to try every single thing in the book, because the more you walk in God's path, the more that light shines through, the more you start affecting other people and building them up in the word, and the Spirit moves through you, and these people start to see the light, because how are they going to hear if nobody preaches to them? How are they going to hear if no one brings them the word? Guys, his sheep will hear. His people will hear his voice. That's what the devil's afraid of, is your voice, is your testimony, is your light, is your salt in this world, is your path that God has you on. He's trying to knock you off every single way he can. guys, and it's going to get harder. But then you'll notice when you keep putting your faith in Christ and calling on him, everything becomes easier and the desires of your heart become fulfilled, because it's not your will, but it's God's will. And everything just makes sense. And I hope somebody out there today understands this. I hope that this really hits somebody in their heart today. If you're still struggling, guys, if you still need, some questions answered, you just, want to share your experience, let me know in the comments. I'd really enjoy hearing from you guys. We're in this thing together. This is not a solo adventure, right? God's called us to the battlefield as warriors together. So more than anything, the world needs men of God to stand up in this, because when we do, we are powerful and we can overcome any obstacle, and we are light to those in darkness. So don't lose hope, guys. Lord willing, I will see y'all in the next one.